Okay, so we talked about the story of me picking my daughter up from daycare, and for a good stretch of time, every day, almost every day when I picked her up, she would just cry and cry and cry in the car on the way home. And for a while, I would get really frustrated about it, and I would be short with her, and I would be irritable on the car ride home because it was also the end of a long day for me, and I was just trying to get home, and I didn't realize what was happening there. And my wife said something that really stuck with me, which is she was holding it together. Our daughter was holding it together all day long at school, and she finally got in a safe space with Dad in the car, and she finally felt safe that she could just let it all go and have a good cry as her way of sort of decompressing and releasing for the day. And that really stuck with me. And several, probably years later, I saw something on Instagram or YouTube or listened to some podcast. I can't remember the source of it, so I can't take credit for it. But you know what? I will. Why not? I'm lazy. I'll take credit for it. And it was something to the effect of when with your kid, you are the toy. So when they want to play with you, you are the toy. And I kind of drew a link between those two because I think kids, especially at night, and they sleep with stuffed animals and they've got their favorite stuffies and their favorite pajamas and all of that kind of goes back to a feeling of safety, a feeling of comfort, familiarity, and a kind of a safe space for them to operate in. And just like when I picked my daughter up and she would have a meltdown because she just needed to decompress for the day, that was her safe space. And over time, that evolved into, and now we live in Phoenix instead of Dallas, and our daughter just couldn't ask for a better person to be able to handle that transition. She handled it just with such great attitude and awesome about that. But now that she's older, it evolved into when I picked her up is, Dad, will you play with me? Dad, play with me. Dad, let's play together. And I love every minute of it, and it's great. And what that tells me is I'm the toy, and I'm the toy because I, again, or mom or grandma, provide that sense of safety, that sense of familiarity, that sense of I can just kind of relax and decompress and do whatever. And so now I think as parents, we need to make sure we understand that when kids want to spend time with us, it's because we're the toy. They just want to play with us. And this happens all the time where I'll be with my daughter and she'll say, Dad, do you want to play Paw Patrol? Sure. And we're 10 seconds into doing that. Dad, do you want to play Avengers? Sure. We're 10 seconds into that. Dad, do you want to play with the magnet tiles? Sure. And it just keeps going and going. And that just reinforces to me that I'm the toy. I'm the thing that she wants to play with. Or mom is the thing, or grandma's the thing that she wants to play with. This other stuff is just sort of window dressing for that. But the whole thing got me to understand that as parents, the responsibility we have and the responsibility to recognize that we are the safe space for our children. And the frustration that we may feel when they're being difficult at times, or they're being stubborn, or they're being flippy floppy on what they want to play or whatever, is we're the ones that they want to play with. We're the toy. So they don't care about any of the other stuff, which is why sometimes when it's like, sure, I'll play with you. What do you want to play? Well, it's like, you're playing with me. That's what I wanted. So I don't know what to do after that. But I think that's a very important thing. And for us to realize as parents to be patient with that. And you want to translate that into adult life for us as grown-ups, it can manifest, or I think is recognizable in two ways. One is, what is our individual safe space? And where do we run individually? And a lot of times for people, that can be to whatever their hobby is. Maybe it's, working out at the end of the day. That's what you want to do, is go to the gym and just throw your headphones on and listen to an amazing podcast like this and get your workout in. Or maybe it's go for a walk, or maybe it's cook dinner. You like doing that. For other people, maybe it's things that present a little bit more of a challenge. Maybe there's, some addiction there with substances. Or for me, I run to food all the time because pizza always tells me yes, or whatever, but that's an unhealthy habit. So I think it's really interesting to see that, where do you run to? Where do you go to? And is that a healthy relationship? And in and of itself, nothing is impure, right? But your relationship to it is what makes it not pure. So for me, there's nothing wrong with any of the wonderful food that we have around the house or that I know how to cook. but what's my relationship to it? And am I using it? Am I abusing it? Am I going to it for the wrong reasons? And often the case, yeah, that has been my struggle for my lifetime. But for other people, it's other things. And then for some of us and some people, it's a great relationship with whatever it is, and it's a great outlet and it's a great resource. So understanding what your release is, where you go, and maybe where you should go, where we should pivot or where we should adjust to go for that. And then also is for those of us with spouses, are we creating a safe space for our spouse to also have a release? So maybe, like I said, as individually, what is that? But what if individually is, hey, I want to go into the arms of my wife or my husband, and I want to spend time with them, and I want to download them on the day. That's my way of decompressing or whatever. But if in my case, if I'm not open because I'm frustrated or I'm irritable or I'm so focused on my release or my decompression, and it's self-serving, not serving of others and not serving of everybody in the family, including myself, then I'm not providing an environment to be able to allow other people to do that as well. And just like when I picked my daughter up, when I would get frustrated and irritable and short with her, that started to close that window of her feeling safe in this space, that she could do that, knowing that it was, essentially a judgment-free zone. So that is something we need to be aware of, is, are we providing that environment for the other person to be able to decompress, kind of release, exhale, do all that sort of stuff? And are we also not just providing the environment, but providing a healthy environment where we're not just enabling bad behavior, but we're enabling and having the opportunity for the right kind of behavior to grow?